Hello my beautiful masters, and welcome back to our latest video in our deep tissue cleansing series. And today we're going to take a little bit of a step back again from the theory of eating and all these things, and we're going to talk about the idea that this work is going to trigger you, okay? And that is actually a very good thing, and I want to share with you today why it's totally normal if you're feeling overwhelmed by this information, if you're feeling like you don't know what to practically do to implement this information, if you're feeling like you're trying to figure out what the right thing to do is and it's kind of making all these wheels turn in your head and you're feeling a bit like this, the information is causing you to feel a bit manic. Either that, or if the information is making you feel very, very discouraged, like you're looking at sort of the principles and the food combining and the food ordering, and you're thinking like, I'm nowhere near that. I still binge, I still purge, I still smoke, I still drink coffee, I still have all of these other kind of coping mechanisms that I do. Like I'm nowhere near even eating real food. Like I have a lot of food issues, and these rules just feel like new rules, right? Like, and how do I not turn this into another just diet, and how do I not just try and do this perfect? Okay. And then that's the last thing too, is that it could be triggering this feeling of like, okay, I'm very far away, or I am far away from these principles, and I want to do it perfect. So how do I do it perfect without white knuckling? Or, right, you might even just be noticing yourself trying to get yourself to do these things in a way that you think is perfect, and you're not able to do it, and you're thinking like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And so the main thing that I really wanted to talk about in this video today is, again, that overarchingly, we want to come at this process realizing that most of us are not moving from a place of self-love, okay? And so when we get this information about deep tissue cleansing and everything that it stirs up in us, is to understand that it's going to trigger us. It's going to show us where we're still moving from a place of trying to earn our goodness, trying to earn our rightness, trying to earn our, just our benevolence through doing things perfect. And at the same time, where we're still really believing that if we just do things perfect, we're going to end our suffering, right? That we're suffering so badly, we're in a physical situation, a mental, emotional, circumstantial situation we don't like, and we're really looking for like the answer that's going to rescue us, that's going to save us from all of our, like, right, that's going to heal our body, that's going to heal our mind, that's going to heal whatever it is that we're in. And again, we're thinking like, if I can just implement this thing perfect, I'm going to be better. It's going to fix me. And, or, right, looking at it and saying that if I can't do it perfect, it's not going to work. I'm going to be stuck in this forever. And look how far away from it I am. And therefore, I'm just completely discouraged, right? So, like I said, what this is really bringing up for you, okay, is all the areas in your life where you're not willing to accept yourself for where you are right now, right? And that makes sense because, again, a lot of us don't want to accept where we are and what is actually going on for us in this moment, because where we are and what's going on for us in this moment is painful. We're in physical situations that are painful with our bodies. Maybe we've been sick for a really long time and we feel like we have been trying to heal and nothing's been working and all these things. We're in emotional situations that are really painful, like in relationship or just in general, like feeling, right? We have a lot of trauma in our bodies and in our emotional state. We don't like what we have been through. We don't like where we are. We have all been traumatized, okay? And so, again, as we start to look at this stuff, there's going to be the tendency to either try to be perfect because you think that's going to solve all your problems, or look at it and say, well, if I can't be perfect, I may as well just give up. Yeah, because I can't be perfect, so it's not going to work, because nothing works unless you do it perfect, and therefore give up. Or like I say, I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do with this. I don't understand where my next step is. What's the right thing to do? Because I don't feel connected to my own guidance. And the reason we don't feel connected to our own guidance is, again, because we're resisting accepting and acknowledging where we're at, because where we're at is painful. All right? So what we first just need to really understand is that self-compassion is always the go-to. When we start to feel overwhelmed, when we start to feel discouraged, when we start to feel like manic and you're trying to figure out what to do and I don't know how to implement these principles, or I'm so far away from this and maybe I should try this and maybe I should try that, maybe I should get rid of that. Whenever that starts to happen, okay, that is your sign, that is your call, that is your alarm system that it's time to just slow down. And you're triggering a part inside of yourself where you are not willing to love who and what you are right now, right? That the pain that you feel in whatever you're in is too much. And you're really just trying to get rid of it. You're trying to move forward. You're trying to get out of it. And that makes perfect sense. There's nothing wrong with you. If you feel triggered by this work, if you feel overwhelmed by it, if you feel like you kind of have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? If I can't do it perfect, maybe I'm not ready to be here. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this work. Maybe I shouldn't be in this mystery school. Maybe this is all just way too advanced for me. No, it's not, okay? Every single one of us has our stuff. We're where we are because we don't want to admit where we are, because we don't want to accept where we are. And again, like I said, it's because it hurts to be where we are. And so the first story that I really want to encourage you to see if you're telling yourself, okay, is that you are not a worthy person. You are not good enough. You are not worthy of love. You are not worthy of peace. You are not worthy of any positive emotion. You're not worthy of having anything you want until you fix yourself, until you're perfect, until you're doing everything right. You are not worthy of love. Okay, that is almost always the main story we're all telling ourselves. And this is why we clamor for rules and clamor for what's the right thing to do, what's the perfect thing to do, what's the right system. Because we're looking for that rule book that we can just follow. And once we follow it, we'll know that we're good enough. And we'll say, okay, that's what makes me worthy of love, right? That once I'm doing whatever it is that we've decided is the perfect thing, once I'm that, then the world will love me. Then I can love myself. Then I am worthy of having all these things that I want. And until then, right, I'm going to keep looking for the rules, looking for the rule book. And then when I think I found something, I'm going to beat myself up and try and get myself to do it perfect. And I'm going to hate myself for every minute that I think that I'm not doing it perfect, or I'm going to give up on myself, or I'm going to get very discouraged and thinking that I'm doing everything wrong and what's wrong with me that I can't do it perfect, and oh my gosh, I'm so far away from perfect, and blah, 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 right? We get caught in this loop, again, because we're not willing to love ourselves where we're at. And so we have to start to recognize that. And we have to start to say, okay, I am taking love away from myself based on this arbitrary idea that there is a perfect, and until I get to this perfect, I'm not worthy of love. I'm not allowed to feel like I can accept myself. And of course, we have this idea too that if we accept ourselves right here, right now, where we are, okay? So this is the kind of second thing that we get into. So the first thing is, where are you telling yourself you're not worthy of love until you're perfect? Really look at that, okay? Where did your definition of perfect come from? Why are you saying that you have to hold yourself to some sort of standard before you're worthy of love, before you're worthy of accepting yourself, before you're worthy of saying you are good enough, you did good enough today? Whatever it is that you could do today was good enough, okay? And I'm going to tell you in a minute what to do when you're looking at these principles, right, which is always what this school is about, is that I'm giving you principles, and then it's your job to figure out how that principle applies to you. So rather than trying to fit yourself into this perfect idea of the principle, You say, okay, no, the principle is meant to meet me where I'm at. And then I progress along with the principle. Okay, the principle is meant to serve you. You are not here to serve the principles. So really, start to bring this into your mind. You are doing this work for you. This isn't for anyone else. This isn't for the world. This isn't for doing it perfect so that there's some external person or thing or group or of whatever that's going to accept you and say, okay, good, you did it right. And we need to start to see where we're doing that, where we're holding ourselves to this kind of idea that, right, we're not worthy until we're perfect, and we're not doing our journey for ourselves anymore. We're doing it to earn our worthiness, right? And this is an external thing. So we have to start to say, like, what would happen if I started to love myself where I am right now, right? And we're all afraid that if we start to love ourselves where we are right now, right? So this is the second part, that we're giving ourselves permission to stay in that place forever, right? We're all afraid to own our self-sabotaging behaviors and not make them wrong and not make them bad, right? We want to look at our drinking and our smoking and our not being able to food combine and our all of these things that we think make us not perfect, all of our coping mechanisms, everything we're doing that we know on some level is harming us and holding us back from living our ideal life. We all want to look at that and get rid of it. We all want to fix it, and we all want to say, that's the cause of my pain, right? If I could just stop eating, if I could just stop drinking, if I could just do these things perfect, it would fix my body, it would fix my relationships, it would fix my job, it would fix all these things, and then I won't be in pain anymore. But we have to recognize that this isn't actually how it works, right? That the truth is, there is a desire in you to be, express, live as something that right now you don't know how to do, okay? And the reason you're eating, the reason you're drinking, the reason you're smoking, any self-sabotaging behavior you have, anything that is in your life that is looking like it's holding you back is actually a tool you're using to cope with life in the only way you know how to cope with it. You have needs, you have wants, you have desires that you have been told your entire life you are not allowed to have, that you can't have, that you'll never get there, that you'll never be that you'll never do that. And so, again, we're trying to sort of meet our needs in these backwards ways with numbing ourselves or stimulating ourselves, right? We numb and we stimulate. That's what a self-sabotaging behavior is doing. And you're doing that for an innocent reason, okay? But the thing is, the only way you're going to figure out why you're self-sabotaging, right? Why you have these habits in your life that seem to be so far away from these perfect principles. Why do you live like that? Why do you want to do these things? It's not because you're bad. It's not because you're wrong. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're lazy. It's not any of these things. It's because that is the only way you know how to get your need met right now. So the second thing that I want you to start to ask yourself is, with anything that you feel is like totally out of alignment in your life, right? Any self-sabotaging behavior you have, including going into like depressive thoughts or beating yourself up and constantly just looking out at the world and saying, well, I can't do it perfect, so I shouldn't do it at all. Or this thing is wrong with me, or this thing is wrong with me, this thing is wrong with me, or you're constantly in a tailspin about your body, or in a tailspin about your work, or in a tailspin about your relationships. Start to really look at, okay, how is this behavior helping me? How is this behavior serving me? What would I lose if I didn't have this anymore, right? If I didn't have eating to go to, if I didn't have my body to scapegoat all my problems onto, if I didn't have my job to scapegoat all my problems onto, if I didn't any longer have the tool of just beating myself up all the time and regretting my past and all of these things, if I didn't have that, what would I lose? How is this serving me, right? And you're going to find that all of these behaviors, again, they're protecting you from emotions that you don't want to feel. They're protecting you from this idea that you can't ever be what you want to be, that you don't know how to get to where you need to go, right? And so again, we think, I want to be, do, and express this, and this, but I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to just blame it on my body. And I'm going to assume that if I could just get healthy, all of my desires would come true. Or if I could just get money, all of my desires would come true. It's just this one thing that's holding me back from that. Because that feels so much more manageable than I have no idea how to get there. I have all this trauma and all this wounding and all these desires, and I'm so overwhelmed with my emotions, and everything is just so overwhelming. I don't want to think that I have all this stuff that I have to look at. I just want to believe that if I could just fix my body or fix my money situation or fix my whatever, that I'd be happy. And of course you do, right? So we start to see, like, again, we accept where we're at. We accept the pain we're in. We accept the trauma that we've experienced. We make room for ourselves to feel discouraged and sad and down. So again, this video is not about like, don't feel discouraged and don't feel down and da-da-da-da. No, the point is, whatever it is that you're experiencing right now, whatever it is you're feeling, whatever it is that's going on with you, is something you need. It's showing you the next piece of information you need to move forward. So if you're like, what do I do with food combining? What do I do with my job? What do I do? Sit with your pain. Be with your self-sabotaging behavior. Start to make everything that you're experiencing okay. Give yourself the idea that there is a reason why all of this is so triggering. There's a reason you're in pain. There's a reason you're experiencing what you're experiencing, and it's not your fault. Okay? This is the big thing. When we start to take responsibility for ourselves as masters, what we're saying is, my pain is not my fault. Most of it was inherited. Okay? These limiting beliefs, these self-sabotaging behaviors, all this stuff, this idea that I can't be who I want to be, that I can't have what I want to have, all that I'm wrong and bad for who I am, that I'm not perfect and I'm not worthy of love until I'm perfect, and all this stuff was passed on to you. Okay? Your parents passed it on to you, society passed it on to you. We all live like that. It's not your fault. Okay? Second thing, being so out of alignment, being born into unhealthy bodies, into a society that totally doesn't support the human nature and all of these things, and we're going to get into this in later videos. Again, you were born into a traumatized world. Okay? The suffering that you're experiencing is not because of you. It's humanity. It's where we're at. We're all taking everything apart, and we're in a big traumatized state. And so we say, that's the reality. I'm in trauma because of what I've experienced, and what I've experienced was passed down to me because of what everyone else experienced. We're all in this together. This is a big, there's nothing wrong with you that you're suffering, or that you're in trauma, or that you're hurting. And it's not your fault. All right? And if we can start to make it so, like, even this idea that you have self-sabotaging behaviors, that's also not your fault. That's what you're using to cope with life in the only way you know how to right now. So then we start to say, but I'm going to take responsibility for it. I'm going to evolve my traumas. I'm going to evolve how I'm living right now through love, through accepting myself where I'm at. I'm going to stop blaming myself for how I feel. I'm going to stop blaming myself for being overwhelmed. I'm going to stop blaming myself. I'm going to look and see, yeah, I want to be perfect. I want to do. Now, why? Where am I withholding love from myself until I'm perfect? And can I start to give myself that love right now, as though I'm already perfect? What happens if I love myself right now, even in all of my behaviors, as though I don't have those behaviors? Okay, that's the first key. The second key is, again, just admitting where you're at and saying it's not your fault. And from there, when you move into that place of what if I was already perfect and worthy of love, and how does that feel? And what if none of this trauma is my fault? It's not my fault. It is what it is, but it's not my fault. With that, you're going to move into a place where you're going to start to be able to discern for yourself what your next step is. You're going to give up trying to be perfect. You're going to give up trying to do it right. You're going to give up looking for someone to tell you the answer. And you're going to realize that it's just going to be one step at a time. And you're going to figure out what your next step is by loving yourself where you're at. Okay, that's the paradox of self-love. You won't get stuck when you love where you're at. It will actually motivate you and show you what your next step is. And you'll know it because it won't feel manic. Okay, love where you're at.